Have you ever pulled a pack of chicken, beef, or pork from the freezer, left it out to thaw, and then suddenly changed your plans? Maybe you got too busy, maybe dinner got canceled, or maybe you simply weren't in the mood to cook anymore. And now you're staring at that thawed meat thinking, can I just put this back in the freezer? It feels like it should be harmless. After all, it was frozen before, so why not freeze it again? But refreezing thawed meat is one of those kitchen habits that seems safe on the surface, but actually comes with hidden risks. And by the end of this video, you might start treating that pack of thawed meat a little differently, right here on History of Simple Things. The first thing you need to understand is that freezing meat doesn't hit a reset button on bacteria. Freezing slows down bacterial growth dramatically, but it doesn't wipe out the bacteria that were already there. Think of it like pressing pause on a movie, not erasing it. So when meat thaws, especially at warmer temperatures, all those paused bacteria wake up and get back to multiplying. And they don't just pick up where they left off, they multiply even faster in warmer environments. Now imagine refreezing that meat again. You're not freezing something fresh, you're freezing something that has already gone through a round of bacterial revival. When it thaws the second time, the bacteria multiply even more quickly, raising the risk of spoilage and foodborne illness. One concept that matters a lot here is something food scientists call the danger zone. It covers temperatures between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, about 5 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius, which is the range where bacteria grow the fastest. Every minute your thawed meat spends in this range increases the number of bacteria. And the truth is, most people thaw their meat in ways that fall squarely into this danger zone. Leaving it on the counter, in the sink, or near a warm kitchen surface makes thawing faster, but it also gives bacteria the perfect environment to grow. If that meat ends up being refrozen afterward, it carries a larger bacterial load than it had before, making the next thaw even riskier. But safety isn't the only issue here. Quality takes a huge hit too. When meat freezes, the water inside its cells forms ice crystals. During the first freeze, those crystals are typically small, especially if the freezing happened quickly. But once you thaw the meat, those crystals melt and the meat loses some of its moisture. If you refreeze the meat, new crystals form, usually bigger and sharper than before. Those larger crystals damage the muscle fibers even further, which means that when you finally thaw the meat again, it has lost even more moisture. The result is noticeable. The meat becomes drier, mushier, or tougher once cooked. So even if you manage to refreeze safely, the texture and juiciness of the meat will suffer. Another factor that often gets overlooked is thawing method. Not all thawing methods are equal. If you thawed the meat in the refrigerator, where the temperature remains safely below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, then technically it is safe to refreeze, as long as the meat hasn't been sitting there for several days. In the fridge, bacteria don't multiply as quickly, but the reality is, many people don't always thaw their meat this way. It's common to thaw meat at room temperature or on the counter because it's faster, but that also exposes it to a lot more bacterial activity. In those situations, refreezing becomes unsafe because the meat has already spent too long in the danger zone. Another issue is cross-contamination, something people rarely think about when refreezing. As meat thaws, the liquid that drips from it, known as purge, contains bacteria and nutrients that bacteria love. If that liquid touches other foods, cutting boards, countertops, or utensils, it can contaminate them. Refreezing the meat doesn't undo that contamination, and it doesn't kill the bacteria that may now be on the surface of the meat. When you thaw it again, those bacteria become active all over again, with an even greater chance of spreading to other foods you prepare. So what can you do to avoid all these problems? One simple solution is portioning. If you buy meat in large quantities, divide it into smaller packages before freezing it. That way, you only thaw what you actually need, and you never have to worry about refreezing. Another smart option is cooking the meat first. If you thawed it but no longer plan to cook it right away, go ahead and cook it anyway. Once meat is fully cooked, it becomes safe to freeze again because cooking kills harmful bacteria. Cooked meat stores well in the freezer and doesn't suffer the same textural damage that raw meat does when refrozen. It also helps to think of freezing as a one-way process. Freezer, thaw, cook, eat. Once meat has been thawed, it's best to follow through with cooking rather than pushing it back into the freezer. This mindset not only keeps you safer, it also helps preserve the quality of your food, preventing the disappointment of tough, dry, or flavorless meals. Refreezing thawed meat isn't guaranteed to make you sick, but the risks stack up quickly. Between bacterial growth, poor texture, increased moisture loss, and freezer burn, the overall experience becomes unpredictable. Food safety is one of those things that doesn't feel important until something goes wrong, and handling meat correctly makes a huge difference. Every frozen pack in your kitchen represents a future meal, a future moment, or a future gathering. Treating your ingredients with care ensures those moments are enjoyable instead of risky. So the next time you're tempted to put that thawed package back into the freezer, take a moment to think about everything happening behind the scenes. Bacteria waking up, ice crystals breaking down tissue, moisture escaping, and quality slipping away. Sometimes the safest and tastiest choice is simply to cook it now rather than freeze it again. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.